Hi guys! So, this is a lovely message from me to you. And the reason why I'm doing this is because, you guys, you give me so much love in the comments, really. And it's so. I know when I've seen other tarot really say this, or people who have a YouTube channel, I'm always like, yeah, sure. But but actually, when you're on the other side receiving, it does it does have an effect, definitely does, that you guys, you're so open with your stories and you're so showering me with love and affection, and I really, I really appreciate it, and it really goes to my heart. Thank you very much. So that's why I wanted to make this video for you guys. I wanted to give something in return. I know, I know you give me because I give you something, but I really want to show you how this is affecting me. So I want to give you a lovely message, something that you really need to hear, said with love and affection, and like if it was your best friend or someone like you really love telling you this, right? Making you realize that this is what you need to do for yourself, right? It was I already did the piles, very interesting, very interesting, very interesting piles, I gotta say. Yeah, so. So, if you never tried this before, the way you do it is you kind of look at these three piles, and maybe it's the colors, maybe it's whatever, something that attracts you. And let's say you say, oh, pile number 3 really attracts me. So you go down in the description box below, and there's timestamps. So you press the link for pile number 3, so it's gonna jump to pile number 3 in the video. So you don't have to listen to these first. And there might be more than one pile that speaks to you. And so these are not made on your personal, I'm not tuning into your personal energy. I'm tuning into something collective. So it's something that your intuition is actually choosing this to give you some kind of information you need. So it might not be 100%, of course, because it's not your specific situation necessarily, but it's something that you can use in some kind of way. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't, right? Don't force it to fit if it doesn't fit. Just it has to feel good. It has to resonate in some way, right? Yeah. So if you haven't chosen your pile, put the video on pause, because I'm gonna jump to pile number 1 now. Pile number 1. Let's take a look at. You chose these purple and blue. What's this called? I should have googled that. Firefly? No, that's not a firefly. Doesn't matter. You chose this with the purple color. So let's take a look at what lovely message I have for you. Wow, I love this picture, don't you? Like, I have a cat. I'm totally a cat person. I love dogs as well, but cats got something like that independent energy, and that you don't, like, you're not kind of, it's not like an addiction, but you have a responsibility, of course, because it's your cats, it's your pets. But it's not the same kind of responsibility as a dog. Like, the dog needs so much more, and I wouldn't say the cat isn't social, but like if you know, if you're a cat person, right? And I think that maybe like if you had to pick to be a cat or a dog, I think you would pick a cat, because you are an independent person, and like you want to be free. You have this level of freedom that you need. Not that you can't take responsibility, and not that you wouldn't want a family or a job and stuff like that. That's places where we take responsibility, but you need some kind of freedom, right? As the cat does. So the cat comes home and they cuddle with their owner, and they eat and they purr, and and then they go out again, maybe at nighttime, right? And take a look in the neighborhood and see what's up. Yeah, let's see here. Got pleasure. Do something just for fun. Pleasure is one of life's essential nutrients. That's a funny thing, because actually years ago, maybe 10 years ago or something like that, I was in a really tough place. I was so overwhelmed, and mostly because I had so much in my baggage, right? That even though I did therapy and I had been doing therapy for some years at that point, it's for me, it's been a lot of on and off. So not necessarily a therapist, but doing some kind of self-development work, right? Pretty much the last 15 years, again, on and off. Like, you can't do it, like focus on it all the time, because you need that break in between to let everything find its place, right? Things takes time. So, but I was in a period where I was like overwhelmed with school, and I don't know, I just like I wasn't good to myself, right? I was talking myself down inside my head, but I didn't really notice it at the time. So one day it just hit me, like, just be like a cat. Don't like cats don't cats don't worry about what's to come, and they're like taking it one paw at a time, right? Not one step at a time, one paw at a time. It's kind of like, oh, I smell something, I'm gonna go that way, or I think I need a nap in this sunbeam, I'm gonna go lay here. Like, it's so kind of spontaneous and in the moment, and they're so relaxed, right? They're such a relaxed creature, and they sleep a lot. So as I was like having that feeling of the way I could release these worries was by be a cat, right? I would still go to school, but instead of like waking up and, oh, I had to do this, I have to do this, and then there's this kind of class that I suck at, and I haven't done the assignment for that class, just one step at a time. Just one step. Go to school. Maybe it will work out. You can always go home again, right? Like, really, what do you need right now in this moment? And maybe some days I just needed to sleep in, and I felt like I'm not going to school today at all. And then I was like, okay, so I'm staying in bed. I really need that right now. And then because I did that, about 2 hours later, maybe I was ready to go to school. So I didn't have to, instead of that old paradigm, old way of thinking, like I'm going to miss school the whole day today, I'm just going to skip it and stay in bed and worry about everything. I was listening to what I need right now and letting go, like being a cat, letting go of those worries. And okay, I need to sleep more. And maybe when I wake up, I'm still not ready for school. Maybe I am. I don't know. That took a lot of pressure off of me. So the message here is that you're like the pressure that you're feeling in life. Maybe it's the pressure from work, from school, family, or friends. Maybe it's the pressure that you don't know what you're supposed to do or where you want to go in life. Maybe it's the pressure of like something keeps coming around and you don't know how to fix it, and you tried everything, nothing's working. So the kind of message here is to let it go and have some fun, right? Do something just for fun. Like, as adults, we do a lot of things because we have to, or because it's practical, or because we know that if we do it in this order, it will make things easier. Instead of saying like, yes, it would be easier to go grocery shopping before I buy the gifts for Monica, and then go to get the gardener to do to hire the gardener. But what I really want to do right now is I just want to go to the gardener and talk to him because I'm so excited about my garden, right? Then do that first. And yes, it would be easier in the other, what's that called? The other way around, right? But I think that practical thinking of things is really what takes the fun out of life, right? Children aren't practical, not at all. They're doing what they want, right? That a more like childish kind of approach to life, but still, of course, taking care of our obligations and take responsibility and stuff like that. But kind of putting a fun things in. Yes, it's a beautiful card. Let's put that there. So we got a shadow here. I love it. Spontaneous. Yeah. I made this deck just for me because I really needed some shadow cards for this work here on this channel. So I picked this image because I love it. She's all dressed up in this beautiful dress. She's got high heels on. She's got red lipstick. She's so ready to mingle, right? And I'm picturing her like walking to this. She's supposed to be at a summer barbecue or whatever, and she's walking along, and she's going through a park to get there, and she sees this boat, and she's like, or what's that called? Yeah. And she's like, you know what? I just feel like lying here surrounded by water and just being me. Yes, I might be 30 minutes late, so you text them, right? I'm gonna be 30 minutes late, guys. Don't wait for me. Just go ahead and get started. And just be spontaneous, right? Just like, I really want to go lay in the boat. And as an adult, you would usually say to yourself, I can't do that because I got an appointment and I have to be there in 30 minutes. Of course, if it's something like really serious, like you have to assist someone because they just had surgery, whatever, then don't. But most of the times we can just, as long as we let people know, hey, I'm gonna be late, hey, I'm gonna this and that, and you're not usually a person that's always late, because I think that's gonna trigger something. But you know what I'm saying, right? As long as we let people know, so they can count on us, we can have this spontaneous way of life as well. And that's really what you need, is the message here. Like, you're so like what's that movie? What's that from? You're so you're so bound by obligation. I feel like you're so responsible, you're so grown up, there's not a lot of fun, right? You're so serious, because if you're not serious, no one is. And if no one is, then everything's gonna fall apart. But I think you need to realize that it's not gonna fall apart, and you can't be responsible for everybody else. They need to be responsible for themselves. You don't owe them anything. Of course, if you have children, you owe them love, you owe them roof over their head and food in their stomach and stuff like that. But other grown-up people, like, you don't owe them anything. You don't have to take responsibility for them. Take a break, right? Let's do these. Travel. Wow, I love it. Friendship. So there might be something here about, it could be two different routes, right? Like, either you need to focus on friendship and put your energy there with the fun, go out, have some fun, go bowling, go karaoke singing, whatever, right? Have whatever you think is fun, not because they think it's fun, but something that you want to think is fun. And ask your friends, hey, do you want to go do this? Go to the movies, go out to dinner, whatever. Or there might be something about the spontaneous travel here, right? Having fun, pleasure in seeing the world and experiencing the world and the cultures and everything like that. And of course, it could be a combination of really getting out in the world, or it doesn't have to be like, it could be a road trip. It doesn't have to be far away, just a one-day road trip with your friends, right? Something where you're taking a break from that rigid lifestyle, because it's too serious, right? It's too serious. Yes. Let's see what these cards says. Take the lead. Confront. Wow, okay. Flow. Strengthening bonds. And simply love. Take the lead, confront, flow, strengthening bonds, and simply love. So this is actually, I like this, because take the lead is taking the lead of your own life, right? Only you can change the trajectory of your life. Only you can make it more spontaneous. Only you can make it more fun. Only you can let loose. And I know that feeling of, but if I let loose, everything's gonna fall apart. This message is here to tell you it's not gonna fall apart. You can do that. You can let loose. You can have fun. You can let your inner child out. You don't have to be so serious all the time. You don't have to be responsible for everybody else, right? You can take care of yourself and the fun that you need, and that inner child that needs that too. So this is actually you confronting you. This is you confronting the shadow inside of you, right? And this is a shadow card. So shadows are the parts of us that we hide away, that we don't want to recognize as, because we at some point we learned they're not acceptable, and we can't get love and affection and attention if we don't put away this side. Like anger is a very normal shadow. A lot of people are afraid of anger because they put their own anger in the shadow. So when other people are angry, they can't, like, there's no room for that in them, and they pull away or they shame other people for their anger or whatever. So you might have been growing up in a family where, like, if you're angry, maybe you got ignored, or maybe you're sent to your room and you can come out when you're okay again. Like, we won't address your anger, we're just telling you it's wrong, right? There's lots of different ways, but so one of your shadows is the spontaneity, spontaneity, being spontaneous, being spontaneous, being spontaneous, right? So, and like, if you grew up in a family where you had to be the parent, like physically, like maybe you had a sick parent, so you had to cook the meals, or emotionally, like your parent wasn't emotionally mature, so you had to make room for them because they couldn't make room for you. Like, there's lots of things, right? So you couldn't be spontaneous as a child. We are very attuned to be spontaneous. That's how we experience the world, right? And you couldn't be. You had to grow up fast, right? You have to grow up before the right time. So that could be a reason why the spontaneous part of you is actually in the shadow. There wasn't any room for it. And now this message here is here to tell you that you need to bring that part out again. It's going to enhance your life. So there wasn't room for it when you were a child, but there's room for it now, and you need to look at it in a different way. There's nothing wrong with being spontaneous, and there is room for you to be it as well, as it is right now in your life. So bringing that, you see, also it's smaller, right? It could be his child, his inner child, standing here in the dark, being kind of a little bit illuminated because you are a little bit aware of this, but still it's not out in the sun. So it's our job to pull that shadow side out in the light so we can take a look at it, so we can embrace it. And the thing about it is a child that when we, at the moment we suppress a feeling or a characteristic about ourselves or an experience, we what's that called? I talked about it multiple times. We fracture, and we take that part and we try to get rid of it, but we can't because it's part of us. That's why we put it in the shadow instead, and then we just pretend it's not there, because we don't look at it. And the thing is, if you did that as a 6-year-old, then that shadow aspect of you is only 6 years old. It didn't grow older with you because you pushed it away. So you didn't integrate it with you, and it didn't mature with you. So that's sometimes what happens when we work with anger that we suppressed our whole lives, is that when we start to acknowledge that anger and let it out, it's only 6 years old. Like, if we suppressed it at that age, right? And it didn't mature with us. So as a grown-up, you can stand there stomping in the floor, smacking doors, and just yelling out nowhere kind of thing, as a 6-year-old would do, because the anger part of you isn't mature. It's only 6 years old. So it takes time to mature it, right? And so does the spontaneous side of you. So if you're very rigid and very feeling very bound by responsibility, there can be some shame involved with being spontaneous, because you have an idea that you have to take care of these other people, right? Grown-ups and people that is actually supposed to take care of themselves. And you feel selfish, and you feel shameful when you do something for you. Like, if you did this, it would be in the beginning very hard for you to enjoy laying in this boat, because, oh my God, so are people going to be mad at me for coming 30 minutes later? Or, like, are they counting on me? Like, but you have to do it anyways, because when you then show up to the barbecue like 30 minutes later, you're going to realize that they got it all handled. They got it all together. It's like, and No, nothing's falling apart. But you can't realize that unless you go out of your comfort zone and put yourself in those situations where other people have the chance to take responsibilities for themselves, right? So you need to confront yourself and that parts of you, that inner parts. And with that, it creates this flow, this beautiful flow. Strengthening bonds. I really love this actually on Simply Love, which I would translate to simple love. So I think like you're used to being the parent in your relationship, not that's romantic, that's friendship, that's family. Like you're used to taking so much responsibility as parents do. And if we're saying that these people are the same age, then you're acting like the parents, so they only can act like the child, right? If you take the parent part, then what's left? The child part, right? If you take like the equal friend part, then what is left is for them to choose if they want to be the equal friend part, or they don't want to invest, or they want to over invest, right? And it's kind of a match, because if you, as a balanced person, meet another person who is kind of being taking too much responsibility, you will withdraw and you will put up a boundary and say, I'm taking responsibility for my own life. I would appreciate if you stayed on your own island and not trying to control my life. That's what we do when we are the parent, right? In these situations in relationship, we try to control things because we lost control in our childhood, or somewhere growing up, maybe because of a trauma, right? We lost control to the point that we feel like if you're not in control the whole time, it's going to go back to that wound. So that's also something to address in the shadow, the wound that you have of losing control, right? That you need to have this control, but you don't need to. It's the wound talking, right? Because if you kind of let go of all this, what you will get when you let go of that control and that being the grown up in your relationship, it will strengthen bonds, because the other people would actually they would relax. Because as a parent, you're having a lot of expectation to other people, even though you're taking over responsibility, like in a friendship, if you're giving more and not really getting much back, or in romantic relationships you're being breadcrumbed, right? By taking too much responsibility, you're kind of also pushing a pressure on other people, because you want them to do the same, to go to your level. But what you're not realizing is that if there's 100% and you're doing 80, there's only room for them to do 20, so you have to pull back to 50 so they can show up the last 30. And maybe they won't, and that's fine, because that's telling you that this isn't a match. Like, you should never give more than 50%, right? So if they're not showing up for that, and many most likely won't be, because you are currently a match to people who doesn't take responsibility, because you take too much responsibility. And by them being a 20% kind of person and you being an 80% kind of person, you're a match, right? You wouldn't be a match to a 50% kind of person, because there's an overlap of 30%, and that would create, like, when another person that is balanced is telling you, you know what, I got this. This is my life, and I want to, take responsibility for my own stuff. You might react in a specific triggered way, where you're like, yes, but you're doing it wrong, right? Something like that. And it's okay that if someone else's actions is having an effect on your life, it's okay for you to have a response and a reaction and say, I'm not good with that. But other than that, let people do what they want to do, right? I remember with my ex-husband, I didn't care what he was doing for work. But and but let's say, I have to get an example. I don't have. Okay. Let's say, like, I couldn't. Let's say I was allergic to fish. Let's say that, and he chose to work at a fish fish factory, right? So he was doing fish every day, and there was no way he couldn't come bring home that kind of, like, no matter how much he washed up or anything like that, he would bring some kind of the fish home, and I was allergic. That, of course, his action would have an effect on me. Him bringing that home. I know that's a poor example, but yeah. So, but having that, giving people freedom to do what they want, and if that affects your life, of course, take a stand and figure out how to deal with it together. But other than that, let people, you might have an opinion that your husband should be working as a entrepreneur instead of a carpenter, right? But if your husband is happy as a carpenter, then that's what he's gonna work as. So that's your opinion, but don't push it on him. Like, that's an example, right? So letting loose, being more spontaneous, is actually gonna help your relationship and strengthen your bonds and give it a more simple love. Because right now, taking over responsibility for others is kind of creating a pressure for them to live up to, and that's putting a pressure on the bond between you guys, right? So that's definitely something to take a look at. So I hope that this message hit you well. I'm sending it with lots of love, definitely, as you've guys given me in the comments. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the donations. I always forget to say that. I have to remember. If you want to donate, there's information in the box below. If you like this message, if you think it resonated, please give the video a thumbs up so we could get this message out to more people who needs to hear this. And until next time, you guys, take care. Bye. Pile number 2, you chose this yellow dragonfly. So let's see what lovely message is here for you. Rejuvenation. I love this. Some kind of rest. And maybe there's something about the sea. So if the sea is calling to you, or maybe big lakes, big water, places with lots of water, waterfalls as well, I'm hearing. I feel like you are in an ascension period, actually, where you are ascending in maybe spiritual or in your self-development, or just in general in life. Things are going forward, is forward moving, even though you don't feel yourself necessarily. But I do hear that everything is going according to divine plan. So that's nice. So rejuvenation, there's something here about rest and going into a snail house, maybe taking care of your energy. That makes sense. When we're ascending, we're very sensitive, right? We're using a lot of energy, and everything is kind of being shifted around inside of us. Get a good night's sleep. Rejuvenate your body, mind, and spirit. Yeah, so take care of yourself, honey. You need to do that. Let's see what else we got. Oh, let's do the shadow first. Bound. Wow, okay. Choose your battles. Wow, I love this message, actually, because yeah, this goes together so well. Like, you've been battling, right? And you feel bound because choose your battles, right? You feel like you have to, everywhere you look, there's something to fix, there's something to take care of, there's something to take responsibility for, there's someone complaining, someone all the time, like, you have to fix things, kind of, right? And it can be outside of yourself, it can be inside of yourself. So sometimes when we're doing this self-development ascension, it feels like everything is piling up, right? You're unraveling one thing in your childhood, let's say that, and by unraveling that, everything just comes to the surface, because it's sticks together. It's entangled in each other, right? So you can't do one without doing the other. And oh my God, there's so much to look at. And choosing your battles can also be choosing what to heal, right? Because everything is coming up at the same time. So the lovely message here, the good advice for you is to, you know what, put everything on pause and just go take a good night's sleep. And when you wake up tomorrow, you're gonna write everything down, And then you're going to put it aside again. And you're going to go about your day, do whatever, like if you need to work, make some delicious food for yourself, take a walk in nature, buy some flowers for yourself, get the pace down, right? And when you're done with that in the afternoon or the evening, you take a look at the list again. When you put the list away, you're going to put it away mentally. You put everything down on paper so you don't have to remember anything and you don't have to think about these things. You put it away, you take some distance, right? That's the point. And then when you come back home again, it's only for a couple hours. You can do that. You come back home again in the afternoon and the evening, you take a look at the list and you figure out, okay, choose your battles. What is it that, it might be a list of healing points, right? What is it that really is noisy in my system? Or it might be something in your outer world, at work or in relationships or whatever. But you put the list in order. You pick 3 things. They're telling me you need to pick 3 things to look at, and then the rest has to wait. So only 3 things. And then okay, what's most important? And you put it like 1, 2, and 3, and that's the order you're going to do it. And so for some of you, this list of 3 things might be done in one day, next day, because it's small things, because it's a lot of things, and that's the easiest to do. And for others of you, it might take months because it's something deep, right, in your childhood wound, or whatever, trauma, whatever. So the most important things here is to unbound yourself, right? Is to take a step back. It's too much. There's too much going on, and you need to choose what is most important. And the world isn't going to set on fire for you neglecting. That's what you're feeling, right? You're feeling like you're neglecting if you're not doing everything that you wrote down. But you're not neglecting. You're prioritizing. Okay? Every person has to do that. But you're just not used to doing, because you're used to being the savior. You're used to fix everything, right? Yes, let's take a look at these cards. Forgiveness. Interesting. Grieving, manifestation, and peace. Yes. So, a reason why you might be a fixer is because you don't want to touch the grief inside of you. So it's actually a way, it's a coping mechanism. A way to kind of escape the grief inside of you. So it could be someone died. It could be from a long-term illness. Maybe you've been in a long-term illness. There's some grief in that, because it takes a toll on your body and your mind. Could be grieving a way you thought life would be. Could be grieving a friendship that ended, or you got fired from a job, or whatever it is. Something. It could be something from your childhood or trauma, whatever. I'm kind of losing my breath. I really feel like I'm running a marathon doing this video. Like your pile, right? Oh my god, I'm so exhausted. I can't, like, there's no room to talk because I'm running, right? I have to focus on breathing, and you're not focusing on breathing. You're kind of doing everything everywhere, all at once. It's wow, you guys. So the goal here is peace, definitely. Yeah, and of course, because you feel bound. So I love that we have this in the beginning, rejuvenation. That's kind of like the peaceful here, and then in the end, it's a peace card, right? So bringing it all together, like the message here for you to take in is peace. You can have peace, but you can't have it as long as you're running, and you're running from the grief. And there's something here again, forgiveness also. So if someone dies, sometimes we can actually get mad at them because we feel like they left us. And that sounds really weird, but we have to forgive them from dying, right? We have to forgive that they left us. And it can be also other things. Maybe someone did leave you. Maybe you felt that if you got fired, it wasn't for the right reasons. But forgiveness is something we give ourselves. It's not something you have to tell the other person. It's something you give yourself. It's a release. It's something like the anger or resentment keeps you bound because you're walking around with that anger. And it's okay, of course, you need to take a look at what is it that it hits inside of me. So when this person, let's say someone died, why am I angry at them? Is it maybe because it's reflecting somewhere in my childhood that I was left? That someone I love left me, or didn't take care of me, left me even emotionally, right? They were there physically, but emotionally they left me again and again because they weren't able to be there for me in the way that I needed as a child. This is so deep, you guys. It's not as always a simple thing. If it were, we would have let it go, right? So there's a reason for this, and you need to take a look at that. You need to put yourself first, is actually what they're saying. You really need that. You're so yeah, again with the fixer. I know it's there's some pleaser mentality, and there's like, but if you fix everybody, like if you're but if you're getting you're okay, you experience happiness through other people because this grief is so big that you can't experience it through yourself. Does that make sense? So by making other people happy, you feel good. But really, you can never feel that really good and real happiness because it's not yours, it's theirs, right? So you need to take a look at this grief. There's a gift in this grief. It's a dark place and it's not nice to be, but there's a gift. So I did this actually not too long ago. I went through a period with with Ed Sheeran songs. It's so weird because I always thought that yeah, Ed Sheeran makes great music. That's fine, but I never really connected with it. And just I don't know. I just started being more drawn to them, and I thought, okay, let's just take one album at a time and just listen to songs. And then some of the songs just really hit me because it was such a parallel to what I've experienced. And there's a song, it's called Runaway. So when he was a child, his father was an alcoholic, and he's singing in the song that, I can't, I think he was 16 when he ran away, and he went to London to live with his girlfriend at the time. And I think when they split, he actually was homeless in London for 2 years, sleeping on the street or sleeping in a subway and stuff like that. I never knew this about him, but with research I found out. And so that Runaway song is he's saying like, Dad, I love you from my skin to my bones, but I can't live in your home. And I had that feeling growing up, but I was way younger than Ed was, so I didn't have the opportunity to kind of run away. I wasn't old enough. But that realization that how strong I actually was as a child, that if I was 16, I would have run away. I would have made the same decision as he did. And that gave me some healing. That gave me that, I was really strong. I was just put in a situation where I had no way to see it. Because I was forced to stay there, right? And not because my mom's an alcoholic, she's not. But, there was some things growing up that really, I ended up getting PTSD, and that was hard. But I did have a loving mom, and I'm very happy about that. But yeah, so that's just an example. Like you could have any other thing, but for me, going into that, listening to his songs, open up that big grieving part of me that I didn't have a choice. If I had a choice, I would have run away. I was strong enough to do that, but I didn't. There's no way I could have done anything different. And I think the grief in that alone, accepting that you couldn't do anything different. You were just a child, right? That's the same for you. Doesn't matter how many people you try to fix growing up, it's not going to take away the grief. You need to look at it. You need to really go deep. And maybe you need music, as I did, that's really supportive because someone else went through something similar that makes you feel less alone, right? And with the music, there's a depth. Yeah, there's a there's depth there. Why can I say that? That you can kind of, the music pulls you in, right? Sorry. Yeah, English is my first language, but I think you already knew that. You can hear that by me talking. So anyhow, yeah, so this is the lovely message from me to you, that you really need to take care of yourself now. You need to choose your battles, realize that you are a person, right? You're not important because you're fixing everybody. You're not important because what you give to everybody. You are important because you're you. You don't have to prove it, not to yourself, not to others. You are here and we love you, right? God loves you. The universe loves you. There's a reason why why you're created. You can do something, but it's not that you have to fix everybody else. You have to be you, and whoever needs you will come to you, right? Like rings in the water. When you throw the pebble and the water just creates the rings. Like, you're the pebble, right? Stand in your own light. I know that's so cliche to hear, but like, what do you want in life, right? And I think the people around you that love you are gonna, I feel like that sigh, right? Finally, you're taking care of yourself, because we were worried about you, but you don't, whatever we do to try to show you love, you don't want to receive it, right? You're pushing it away and focusing on other people. So people try to show you love, but you won't receive it, right? So people around you will be like, oh my God, finally, thank you so much for taking care of yourself. I was so worried, and thank you for letting me love you, because I wanted to do that for years and you just shut it down, right? Thank you for everything you gave me. I want to give it return. I want to be there for you as you have been there for me. You guys, it's so beautiful. Really, I feel it in my heart, the people around you that really just want to love you. Really, really. So let them, give them the gift of loving you, because you're so special. Okay? Yeah. Whew. So that's my lovely message from me to you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you're a subscriber to the channel, thank you for following me. Thank you for all the people who donate. If you want to donate, there's a link below. If you like this video, if it resonated, please give the video a thumbs up, because we really need to get this message out to those who needs to hear it. And I think you agree with that. I think there's a lot of people who needs to hear this, because there's so much love here. Really, really. And you and so many other people are not receiving the love that you're deserving of. Whew, you guys. So, yes. I hope this resonated, really. So much love from me to you guys. Until next time, take care. Bye. Pile number 3, you chose this red dragonfly. I love these. These are beautiful. My mom made them. She's very creative. So let's take a look at the lovely message from me to you. Release. Oh, there's more here. I forgot. Okay. There's so many cards in this deck. Connection, gratitude, and release. Okay, wow, I really like this. So I know it's so cliche to say like gratitude, you have to be grateful and stuff like that. Sometimes it really helps me, and other times it's kind of like, I think I've built with the things that I experienced in my life and seen, that I have this kind of, my gratitude is generally now is higher than most people like generally like, right? That doesn't mean that sometimes my victim mentality comes out, and with victim mentality, gratitude kind of, becomes lower, because they don't go together. But like usually, because I traveled countries where they don't have water available, and like they live 7 people in a tin shed and stuff like that. And when you come home, I live in Denmark, right? And I grew up poor in Denmark, but seeing what poor is around the world, I didn't grow up poor, right? I had a roof over my head, and my mom cooked me meals, and I know she struggled with the finances because she was a single mom and stuff like that, but I had the necessities, right? So really, I wasn't poor growing up, but in Denmark, it was poor. So, so the message here is gratitude creates connection, which creates release. So a way to heal actually something that needs to be implemented in your life is gratitude. I'm not saying you're not grateful, because I could, maybe this message would be for me as well, but I see myself as grateful because I can stand in the hot shower and be like, oh, I melt from gratitude, or I can lay in my bed and like, oh my God, this is so squishy and soft, and melt with gratitude, right? But there's some kind of gratitude. Like, I think gratitude it's not just one thing, it's multiple, and depending on where our wounds are. So it's not just being grateful for the physical things. It might be being grateful for the lessons you're getting, even though they're tough. Being grateful for your relationships, even though they're not necessarily fulfilling what you need. Of course, you need to take a look at if there's something unbalanced. But sometimes it's the little things. Take a look at them in a bigger perspective, kind of thing. So gratitude creates the connection with your soul and mind and spirit and body. And with that connection comes release. So everything that needs, I like this flower, is kind of like this flower, actually. That's fun. So, and in the middle of that is a crescent moon in this lake or in this mirror. So something mirroring back, but because there's this flower in the way, she can't see what is supposed to be mirrored back. What does it say? Have a good cry. Grief is a doorway to your deepest self. Yeah. So there might be some, like, having a good, like, this could be actually about toxic positivity. And I'm thinking about that because we got the flower here. Flowers is beautiful, smell good. We love them in our garden, stuff like that. Or if someone brings us flowers, but it's obscuring the mirroring she needs. So kind of like just, okay, it doesn't smell good here, so I'm just going to take flowers inside to obscure the smell. So hopefully the sweet smell of the flower makes it so that we don't notice the smell of something rotten, right? Instead of taking a look at what is rotten. So yeah, maybe there would be more messages about that. Connection says, connect with someone special. A loved one is a gift to treasure. And the gratitude says, say thank you. Experience the joy of acknowledging others. Yeah, so there might be something. I just came from no, that's a lie. I was going to say I just came from Python with you. That's not true. I had to take a break because that was you guys, there was so much emotion there. And so if you are attracted to Pylon 2, definitely go watch that afterwards, because that could, there was a message there about letting other people love you, actually, and taking that in. And with these two connection here, right? Connect with someone special and gratitude. Experience the joy of acknowledging others, acknowledging that they love you. Kinda, yeah. Let's see what else we get. There's a lot of cards here. So this is the only pile that had 3 of these types. Oh my god, so many cards. Let's do these first. Transformation, butterfly, boundaries, career. Okay. I feel like we have to put it like this. Oh, I love it. Gratitude for the transformation. Connection through boundaries with other people. There's so many messages in this pile. I don't think I've ever tried this before. Usually it's like 1 or 2 messages, and it's getting deeper and deeper for each card, kind of thing. But this is kind of like, this is going a totally different way now, I'm feeling. And release career, right? So career could also be like your perception of life, how life should be. And I'm saying that because usually we're indoctrinated with, like, from early on, you need a good education so you can get a good job that pays a lot of money, so you can create a great career, right? That's at this point in time in our life span of humans, more than 50%, I think it was 51% of women under 30 hasn't have children yet, and that is a new. We never experienced that in the whole time that we measured this, right? That's because the women are so focused on getting a good grounding, getting their career on top, and getting on top of their career, whatever, and creating a safe space to have children, because now we are able to do that. So I think that's interesting, and that's that way of thinking, that kind of paradigm that we have to, like, there's a checklist in life, right, from society, that get this great education so you can get this well-paid job, and get the boyfriend, girlfriend that turns into a fiance, that turns into a husband, bride. No, what's that? Husband, what? Husband and what? That word is gone. You know what I mean. Then you had to have 2.3 children, ski in the Aspens in wintertime, travel to Thailand in the summer. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how life is supposed to be. And release that is kind of what I'm feeling here. Like, I think so many people are trapped in that. So that's why many men get like midlife crisis, because they fulfilled, like, they check this checklist, like every point, and I'm still not happy. Well, let me go buy a motorcycle, right? Or get a young girlfriend, or whatever that they think will fix it, instead of realizing that, you know what, no matter how much I check off this list, I'm never going to be happy, because this is not what I want, right? They're not honest with themselves, and so it kind of derails and sometimes end in a big explosion, instead of us connecting, setting boundaries with ourselves, listening to ourselves, and setting a boundary with society. Actually, I'm feeling saying that, wow, this pile is getting really intellectual, but saying that, no, I don't want that game that you're playing, that we have to live up to all of this. That's not me. Call me a rebel, I don't care, but I question things that doesn't make sense to me. I'm just not gonna go along like 90% of everybody else. That's not me, because I feel in my heart this is not the way for me, right? And I think a lot of people might feel that because they're so insecure about, well, if I'm not doing this, then what am I supposed to do? Like, right now in my life, I'm kind of so confused and at peace at the same time. Within these last couple of days, it's been so weird, you guys. But I know that I don't want to live here where I live. I knew that when I moved in. I knew this is not my forever home. This is kind of somewhere in between till I get to the next place. And there's been a lot of healing here, and definitely a reason why I live here. Definitely. A lot of lessons as well. But the reason why I know I'm done now is because in the world, the price for gas has gone up because of course the pandemic and of the things in Russia. We get a lot of things from Russia, right? And from us, it's the gas for heating the house. And where I live, the gas price is for heating my apartment is crazy high to begin with. I've never seen prices like that. When I moved in, I got the bill. I was like, I had to call the factory that creates to send the heats out to our house, right? To heat our house and the water. And I was like, so I think something's wrong here. I've never seen prices like this. And when I mentioned it to friends and family, they're kind of falling off their chairs, right? It's crazy. But it's because of something about it's natural gas. I don't know. I don't care. I just thought it was crazy. And now this is springtime. I'm doing this, going into the summer, and when I'm gonna go in, so it's the next fall is the third year. It's the third fall, and I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna pay, because it. Besides those basic high prices because of the things that's going on in the world, it's got even crazier, and I can't afford that. So I know. This is my last summer here, but I have no idea. Do I buy my own house? Where do I move? Do I have to travel? But can I do that with my body? Kind of like, because there's got some issues with my body, right? So it's kind of like the same thing here. That, sorry for the rant, but Okay, but if I'm not doing what society is telling me, then what am I supposed to do, right? And putting up that boundary and just saying no is the first step. Just saying, I don't want to live here. I don't know what I'm supposed to do otherwise, and how it's all gonna fix and go up. Like, how's, I don't know. I don't know. But I don't need all the answers, right? I don't need, something will come up. I'm sure I will figure it out. But I'm not gonna figure it out by staying here, right? Sometimes we need to force ourselves out into situations out of our comfort zone to realize, I would never done that. Like my ex-husband and I, we were together for 8 years, but and we split like 3 years ago. But the progress in my self-development that I've done these past 3 years, I would never have done if we were still together. So sometimes I didn't want to leave him and for a long time, but eventually we split up, and it was a good thing. But what if we had never done that? I would not have been this person today, right? Sometimes we need to get pushed out, and gratitude for the transformation. That makes so much sense. So that sometimes we're pushed out into these lessons and these healings period, and we're like, oh my god, this is crazy. I don't, yeah. And we need to have, like, even though it's tough and it's hard, and sometimes, like, I'm in the dark night of the soul, and I've been that for a long time now. It's, oh my god, you guys, it's crazy. That's pulling teeth, really. I feel like I'm trying to run a marathon with broken legs. It's kind of not happening, right? So finding the gratitude in that transformation, even though we don't feel like it's transforming, yeah, that, I think that will bring us a long way. So okay, next cards. This is a crazy pile. Wow, I can't remember ever done anything like this. Do we get the shadows first? Oh, we take these first. Okay. Wow, love it. Love makes things grow. Embrace. Share the love. Sadness. And oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to put these two love cards in the outer here. And then in the middle of love, we're going to embrace the sadness and isolation. Wow, you guys. So some of you guys may really have struggled with the isolation of the pandemic. I know a lot of people have. Or just in general, right? When we're fragmenting, I talked about this, I think, in pile number 2 as well. Fragmentation is when we're somewhere in our childhood, or maybe experience something traumatic later in life. We try to remove emotions like anger. A lot of people don't want to be in anger, so they fragmentize that. They put it in the shadow. They subdue it, suppress it, subdue it. They suppress it and put it in the shadow. So it can be emotions, it can be characteristica. There wasn't room for you being creative, maybe growing up, so you're putting that in the shadow, but really it's a big part of you. Or experiences that we have. Like we couldn't cope with it when we were in it, so we're putting it in the shadow, and then later in life sometimes it pops out. Or when we're doing self-development, we could dig it out, right, to heal it. So when we fragmentize that part of ourselves, it's gonna be lonely. Fragmentizing the creative part of us, it's still a part of us, but because we're putting it in the shadow, that part, like, let's say it's a person in and of itself, right? That creative form is a person. Like, let's say inside of you is hundreds of people. Let's say 100, and you take this one person that represents creativity and you put it away in the shadow. You force it out of the community that is you, right? That part of you is going to be sad and lonely and isolated. And that's the thing that we don't realize that we do to ourselves when we don't accept ourselves, and we don't embrace ourselves as we are. And it's a coping mechanism when we're children, because there wasn't room for us being angry, or there wasn't room for us being creative or ambitious or lazy, which is not a bad thing. Like, usually people think you're lazy because you're not doing anything. But I feel like if you're doing the right thing, you can't really be lazy about it, because you want to do it. I think often lazy comes from us being pressed to do a lot of things that we don't want to do and that we don't have flow on and passion for. And so we burn out and we become lazy, right? We don't have the energy and we don't have the ambition and the drive to do things because we were pushed for so long, either by others or by ourselves. So you're not lazy, right? That's one thing. So there's something here with the love for yourself, love for others, love for the world, the gratitude and transformation, love for that, for example, love for the connection, love for releasing, like giving grace and compassion to releasing things, right? Releasing how you feel about life, how you look at life, how you thought you wanted to live it, right? Or that losing the job or losing a person, stuff like that. Embracing this whole world that you are, right? I love this because when we embrace, we take it from this sad person here, all crumble up, like that creative side, right? Just push it out in the dark and they have no one, they're so lonely. But when we start to embrace them, this is what comes out, right? And so it's really kind of like if we are a community within ourselves, every emotion and every characteristic or every situation that we suppressed is a person in and of itself that we shunned, right? We shunned them. We pushed them out of the community that is us. So everything, this is inside of you. And we might have done this because like there wasn't room for me being angry growing up. So if I want love and affection, acceptance, all of that stuff, I need to put that part of myself away, right? So it's kind of like the lovely message here from me to you is that you need to embrace this now. So you need to release that way that you were kind of forced to look at yourself, right? We were kind of forced to do that because we're forced to fragmentize. We're forced to shun some parts of ourselves and shame those parts because there wasn't room for them. And now with the love and compassion, it's, this is you reaching yourself, this heart, and this is you too, binding yourself, right? Accepting those parts, bringing them back so they can shine and there's room for them in your life, creating room for them, right? So if you are actually a creative person, but as a child that was pushed away, then yeah, now is the time to start drawing. And you might think to yourself, but I can't draw. No, because you haven't ever done it. So that part of you is as old as the time you pushed it away. If you were 5 when you fragmented that creative part of you, it's going to be 5 when you bring it forward. So you can only draw and paint like a 5-year-old, right? Because that's how old the creative part of you is. So it didn't evolve with you because you shunned it, right? You pushed it out. So it's gonna evolve. The more energy you give it, the faster it's gonna evolve, right? Very interesting, you guys. I'm loving this. So let's see the last couple of cards. We got content, got longing, got vain. Right smack in the middle, we got vain. I like that. We got deep and we got romantic. And actually with the vain here, because we got this card with the mirror and the mirror, right? So I'm thinking that she's afraid to look in the mirror. She's putting a blossom, a flower on top of it to cover the scent, because she knows what she sees in the mirror is this kind of skull and scary stuff, right? Because what it is scary to release how you thought life was going to be, and if I'm not going to live by the checklist, then what am I going to live by? That is scary. Deep. I love this picture. And romantic, because this guy, right? He's kind of like a cave in his head, in his body, in his torso here, going deeper within. So to me, this very much represents self-development. Going deeper than just looking at the surface, right? Because if we just look at the mirror like that and the surface, it doesn't look good. But because what we're feeling looking in the mirror is the longing, right? We don't feel the content, we don't feel the romance, but that's what we're really longing for. But to get into, oh my God, you guys, these cars are so annoying. Perfectionist. When when we get into, sorry, I'm having a fun time here. So when we get into when we really go deep and take a look at the longing for the content, feeling content, right, is being happy for what you have, where you are, and creating a life where you are satisfied. And there's a longing for romance here as well. So creating something too, right? But I think the reason why you're scared of looking this regarding to romance is because you've been seeking. I want to say you've been seeking bandages for your wounds outside yourself in romance, meaning that we have some love patterns, attachment styles, all sorts of things that tell us a little bit about how we connect to other people, especially romantically. And the wounds within us, everybody has some kind of wounds, seek for healing. And then we meet another person. Let's say you fall in love with someone who's creative. And one of the reasons why you fall in love with them, because they have this, you call it light shadow. And there's dark shadow as well. Dark shadow is the things that, like anger could be a dark shadow, right? Because it generally has a negative effect. Jealousy could be a dark shadow. And a light shadow could be the creative part, right? Because you're being creative creates something good in the world. So you're falling in love with them because they have this light shadow that is something that you want it to be. That is something inside of you that wants to blossom. So with them, like for me, for example, I have a tendency to fall for guys who are very kind of casual and kind of, how do you say that? Not so serious, right? Kind of nonchalant. And that's because I am serious. I'm too serious. And my inner child just, woo, we want to get out and play. And we can get out and play with these people who are kind of nonchalant and humorous and not taking everything so seriously. But the thing is, there's a backside of the coin. So I see that as someone being very secure within themselves, being nonchalant and not taking everything so seriously, right? But really, in reality, what I've experienced with a lot of these guys are that they're very afraid of conflict. So that's why they're so nonchalant, because that's their way of not dealing with conflict. Oh yeah, no, don't. You're taking it too. No, you're just being too. Chill, relax. It's not so serious, but it's serious to me that like you're ghosting me or whatever, right? So. So I think that the things you experienced in romantic relationships are that, like me, okay, you get attracted to them being nonchalant or something else, of course, and then you see the backside of the coin, and you're like, oh my God, I just burned my fingers again. I'm just gonna take my distance. I can't really. So you're longing for that healthy romantic relationship, but that depends on what we are bringing into it. And I think that for my own sake, and maybe yours as well, that sometimes I go in too fast, so I don't see the other side of the coin before I'm actually investing in it. So I had to figure out how much to invest, how fast, and how are they investing back and stuff like that. Not pulling in the other person, right? And I think here with the content, that you're really longing for a peaceful, content life where you're just right. You can breathe, kind of. But you're scared of that because that's not normal for you. So you're kind of you wouldn't feel comfortable in it. Is the thing. And you wouldn't, because so far it's the mirror. It's only the mirror. It's not going deeper. So going deeper, figuring out why, what is it to you that makes it so hard to be in something peaceful and content? Why do you have to stir up the water, right? I liked, Teal Swan made this metaphor I really liked about when you step into a pond or a lake, you're gonna stir up the mud, right? The sand, and the water becomes unclear. And when you stand still, everything is gonna fall to place, and you can see through the water. And the thing we're doing when that's contentment, right? Where you know your environment and you feel safe, and you're in a good place. But because it's uncomfortable for us, because we never grew up with that, so that's outside of a comfort zone. We want to create something that makes us feel comfortable, so we stir up the mud again, and makes the water unclear, and that that's just a vicious circle, because we don't really want to be in muddy water. We want to be in the clear water. We just don't feel comfortable in it. So our coping mechanisms make us stir up the water, right, to make it muddy again. And so we go back to just looking in the mirror instead of going deep within, right? Yeah. So that was a very interesting reading, you guys. Really, that so complex in a way. Yeah. So if you resonated with this video, please give it a thumbs up so make it out to more people who needs to hear this. And I want to say thank you guys for your donations. If you are wishing to make a donation, you can take a look in the description box below. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Until next time, take care. Bye.